Natasha, and welcome back. I would not introduce you again in this podcast. Whoever missed it can watch the previous one in the link below. How you been?
Really good, really good. It's
Enjoying
springtime.
springtime and obviously ChatGPT and AI technology so far.
Exactly. Getting used to like playing with that tool and seeing how it can help my workflow. So it's been great.
Okay, I heard you had some interesting experience with Facebook ads creation with ChatGPT. Uh, Tell
Yeah.
me about it.
Yeah, so I've been playing around with it, different prompts. And I ended up stumbling on this template. And so I plugged it in for like my own clients and campaigns. It's very, very detailed and like particular. I mean, it goes through, this one was for Facebook. So it goes through all the settings, right? Like campaign objective, like ad sets, budget, bid optimization. Like you write all the criterias basically for it.
Hmm.
It's kind of like writing a ticket for when if you've ever worked in like software or tech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you write down all the criterias and then you press enter and then it spits out basically how you should set up your campaigns. Now, of course, you have to use your judgment and like discernment to see like it does this really work for my client or not, like budget. But it really was helpful in like thinking of new ideas for audiences, things that I probably wouldn't have thought of, and just giving like a really good blueprint and a place to start. So without having to overthink it. So I thought it was super, super helpful in that regard.
So we're talking about basic campaign settings, not just the copy or help with the creative, like bids, targeting,
Yeah,
and
exactly. Oh my God, I didn't even mention it gives ad copy as well, right? Like different
mhm,
variations. It also gives ideas for like different variations of the actual creative, like what you should probably
mhm.
do for the creative for this audience. So it goes into detail and then it gives all these different options too. If you ask it, like, I want three different ad copies, or I want, X, Y, and Z. So that's super, super helpful because, ad copy is always a pain, at least for me. I don't like
Yeah,
writing it. So it's a good place to start.
yeah, that's true. I think one thing that ChatGPT is still missing is the use of emojis. Maybe because instead of using the English language, it will use emojis. But for now, just to use it as it is, you need to add some emojis for it to look appealing to your audience.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But once you make those edits, it's like you have the base, the strategy almost like ready to go. Especially if you're new, right? And you don't
Hmm.
know where to start and you're not sure how many audiences should I test, what should I do for my creative, all those things. It takes a lot of that guesswork out of it.
Hmm.
And then again, that combined with your critical thinking and comparing what competitors are doing, you can make it um, a really successful campaign. So definitely recommend playing around with it.
It sounds like every client right now can just log into ChatGPT and do it by themselves. They don't need marketers.
No, all you need is like a good template, right? Like a place to start so that you can tell it. It's also how you tell it to do things and making sure that you give it enough details so that what it outputs is what you're looking for. Because I feel the some of the back and forth has more so been like, well, it hasn't been really useful, da da da. But it's like, okay, well, what are you giving it? Like, what prompts are you giving it to make sure that it's spitting out stuff that's helpful?
Okay.
But
Yeah,
once you have
sure.
that figured out,
But
then you're good to go.
well, if you're going to use Facebook Blueprint or whatever available resources there are on YouTube or other platforms, you
Yeah.
can definitely succeed
YouTube,
in.
I feel like
Yeah. Sorry. You can create campaign like
absolutely.
just from scratch, but you still need marketers because whenever you have a campaign, how do you know that it's successful or can measure it or optimize it, see what works? So you
Yeah.
still need
That's just like
marketers.
the base of it. Exactly. Once you actually, this, like put it in the market, that's a total different ball game. And it could either, I mean, that's with any setup. There's definitely optimizations that you're gonna have to make. And don't forget, they're giving you like testing
Hmm.
audiences, testing ad copy. So the point and the goal is all to like test it out in the market. And depending on your budget, you can test more variables at a time or less, right? And again, like that comes with experience because if I have $1,000 budget, I'm not gonna do 10 different tests at the same time
Yes.
because I don't have the money for it. So,
That's what you know, but when client wants to create it by themselves, they have no idea
mhm,
if it's a
yeah,
small, big
that's why
budget.
I'm like critical thinking, discernment, competitive analysis, and ChaptGPT. I always have trouble like saying it. Like those three letters at the end confuse me. I don't know
Just
if it's just
uh,
me.
we will call it. Well, no, there is a need for it to be some user friendly name. Like there was a cartoon Wally, and they he was called Wally, and she was called the robot, the other one, the female. Did you see it, Wally? And she was called
Mhm.
Eve. So my iRobot that cleans my apartment, I call it Eve because it's easier for me than just say iRobot.
Yeah, exactly. Eve is a lot easier than iRobot for sure.
So they need to simplify the name as well.
They
It's
do,
a whole.
or maybe you just call it chat. That's a good idea. Like, let's just all collectively call it chat. That's it.
That that's how you see that this tool was created by developers and not by marketers because they didn't thought
Uh-huh.
about branding.
Exactly, exactly. Like I can't just spit out the word without messing it up. See, that's true. That's so true. Definitely developers.
Yeah,
No offense to all developers. I love
but
you.
but it's amazing how fast it became viral. Like everyone
I
is talking about
know.
it in any industry. Everyone is using it. It's crazy.
Yep. I was talking to my friend and she's actually like in production, like
Mhm.
TV, film, and all that. And she's using it, for different like gigs and writing cover letters. And so it's I was like, "Oh my gosh." And like writers are using it to help with like, writer's block and things like that. So it's really amazing that it's just like filter. At the same time though, I mean there are the downsides, right? But that's not what we're focused on. It's here. It's kind of one of those things like how are you going to adapt because the truth is it's here to stay. And so as much as it kind of reminds me of when we had first had social media and all the smartphones and all the older folks were like, "Oh, this is like messing up everything and life isn't the same." And then now all your aunties are all on Facebook and they love it. They're on their iPads, right? And so I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's gonna be the same kind of thing where we're all going to adjust and adapt. Um, and is it gonna take some jobs away? Probably. Um,
I see. I hear
right?
you're very skeptic about it. I don't think it will take jobs. I think
No.
that it's a tool. And
Yeah.
in order for you to, well, as you said, when you gave it a template, and since you've been running campaigns in the old ways, in the
Mm-hmm.
classic matter, so you know
Yeah.
what bit is, and you know what campaign objective is, and you
Mm-hmm.
know how to test your audience. If
Yeah,
I come and I see Facebook for the first time, it's great that I have ChatGPT, but I have no idea if bid is important, what kind of objective should I select. So
that's true.
since you already have that knowledge base, I think it's just like a plus or a bonus for you to make your job like faster and
Right,
easier. Yeah,
right.
so
That's
it
true.
it won't change anything.
You need the knowledge. And it kind
For
of reminds
example,
me
there is a
of
Mid-Journey AI
I my
for
background is also data
creating
analytics.
images.
So it reminds me of those like data dashboards, right, that you use
Mm-hmm.
that can be like super fancy, but if you don't know how to like grab insights from it that actually are meaningful so that you can take that back to your VP or whoever, then it's kind of useless. So the tool in itself isn't that valuable, right? Like you pay, I mean, those tools cost, I don't know how much, 200K,
Mm-hmm.
500K a year, but they're not valuable again unless you have that like analytical mind and skill set to be like, oh, like if I see this decrease or this percentage or I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing these trends, right? It means X, Y, and Z, and therefore we should optimize in these ways.
Yeah,
So that's really important.
and it's your ability based on your knowledge. You can actually tell the
Mhm.
story while looking at numbers and not just look at numbers and say, "Oh yeah, that one is up." So
Yeah.
it's your
Like,
experience that
okay, what
matters.
does that mean? Is that good or bad? I don't know.
So experience matters, and that's
Yeah.
why it will not take our jobs. Like
Yeah.
take a Mid Journey, for example. The AI also very strange name, but okay. Um,
Yeah.
it creates images, and I tried using it for Facebook ads. It still
Mm,
needs some education, but it's amazing. It creates images in a matter of like minutes. Who can
right.
do that? So no one can compete with it. But if you don't know what to look for or how to actually create like what should be on the ad, if you don't have an idea in your head and you don't know what functions to give it, you won't
Yeah.
receive anything.
Exactly. The input is very, very
Yeah,
important. That's the thing. And now that you say that, it's true. Like, how do you know what to put on the template or what to tell it if you're
yeah,
not familiar with that particular like topic at all?
exactly.
Yeah.
So if until today, like creators used Photoshop, today
Mm-hmm.
instead of Photoshop, they will use AI tools, but they
Mm,
still need to work. It won't
right.
create by itself.
Right. Exactly. So we shall see
Yeah, in 10
the
years,
future. Right.
maybe
Right.
AI will have different podcasts on YouTube or anywhere else.
Oh
Or
my gosh. Can you imagine?
yes, I
Two
can. Did you
iRobots talking about marketing or about spirituality or who knows what. That would be
I
something. That would be something. Robots talking about spirituality. Now that I just thought
it
about
will
that, I'm like, that is.
it will be interesting conversation. I know that AI was created actually not like yesterday. It's not ChatGPT is not the first AI tool that we're using. There
Right.
were like in development a long time ago. So first tryouts. I don't remember the company that were doing that. Maybe Facebook, not sure. So
Hmm.
there were two AIs that were created, and developers let them be in a chat room, and they learned English,
Hmm.
and they started to communicate with each other. And very fast, they changed the language to like gibberish, like totally
Wow.
alien language, because English
So
was
that we
too
couldn't
long to
understand.
write. So they developed a language much shorter and for fast communication. And developers just shut them down because it was too much. Like
Oh my
Terminator
God.
is not happening today. So yeah,
Wow.
it will be different.
That's funny.
Yeah,
They have a mind of their own, literally. I mean,
yeah.
that's why they're in AI.
They are efficient. They want to save time,
Yeah.
so they don't want to use our language.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
insane. Oh my gosh, I need to look that up.
I know that there are some institutions that actually research the threats by AI, because there are some skeptics out there that think that it's basically Terminator, so we're all going to
Mm.
die because some AI thinks we don't have
Oh my
the
gosh.
right to live, but
See,
I don't think
that's where
so.
I
As
don't think about
I
that
asked
far.
ChatGPT what what is right and what is wrong, and it has no opinion for now. So for now we are good.
Right. It doesn't have a conscience. So that's scary when you think about that. But
No, I think we still have control.
yeah.
We'll see what happens in 10 years.
Right. I hope it's not, yeah, like one of those movies where they just end up taking over the world. If they're in a
Yeah, I think
robot, of
without
course.
us, nah, I think without
Yeah.
humans, they will just they won't exist, so they need us. I
Yeah.
hope that it's not like in the Matrix
Let's
that they
hope.
will need us just for power source.
Exactly. Let's hope.
Nah, I'm positive. Yeah,
Hmm.
as long as I can see humans are ruining the world all by themselves, so we're good.
I
With
know we don't
AIs,
need
nothing
help.
to worry about.
Exactly. We don't need help from anybody to do that. It's a skill
Yeah,
set.
that's true.
Humans. Gosh.
I Today I was actually talking to one of my clients, and he was asking me about the results that we see on LinkedIn.
Mm,
It was, and he asked
mm,
me, "How do we know if results are good? Like, what's
mm.
if he has certain results? How does he know if it can be improved or what we have is all right?" So for now,
Right.
there is no software that can tell you that. Uh, there is nothing
Mm.
that actually predicts the future. So for now, we're just using our experience to see
Yeah.
if the data is okay.
Right.
So I so
Yeah,
how do
exactly.
you,
Like
for
looking at
instance, know?
benchmarks, right? Like
Yeah,
what's a
but
typical like click-through rate
mm-hmm,
for LinkedIn in general, and then what's a typical conversion rate for your industry, right? Or in general,
yeah,
like how
but it usually comes from your experience. If you already
yeah.
have previous experience in that industry on that platform, you're definitely going to know how to improve your next campaign. Maybe your first won't be as good, but you will know for the next one.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of my benchmarks are a hybrid of like what I can Google to see like is there any information, and then my own experience, and then talking to
Mm-hmm.
other fellow marketers, right? And advertising specialists
Mm-hmm.
and like you or other people in my network, and being like, "Oh, like what's like a typical conversion rate for you, or like how do your click-through rates look?" And I remember doing that a lot at the beginning because I was like, I have no idea, because these costs seem very
Mm-hmm.
high. These acquisition costs are not playing on LinkedIn at 150 or however much it was, and I was like, oh man. But in hindsight, that was totally normal, because if you thought about their sales cycle and the price of their software, which at the time everything was custom, so it was like 20K, 10K on a minimum, that makes perfect sense, right? So that wasn't actually like a
Mm-hmm.
high cost per lead for them. But yeah, you know, you're right. I think a lot of it is like through your experience. And also, once again, like it's critical thinking. I don't know. I saw a TikTok about critical thinking, and now I can't stop using the word. But it's true, because it's like if you think about how much are they spending to acquire a client outside of ads, advertising? I mean, a lot of clients probably don't know that information, but let's say they do, then you can kind of compare and be like, okay, the price for this channel is X amount versus if we're just doing grassroots, how much is that? I mean, you have to factor in the cost of people, the time that it takes, all of that. And so if you can do a comparison of that, you can also determine like, are we hitting the mark or way, way off? And then also like on the back
If
end, it depends what kind of LinkedIn campaign you're running. But if you're doing lead generation versus a conversion campaign, those are two different things, right? So,
That's why you need to be a marketer to understand the difference, to understand
yeah,
how to set up these campaigns. And
right.
probably, if you have the budget, you will recommend to warm up the audience with different
Mhm.
awareness campaigns and so on.
Right.
So that's something that ChatGPT can do for you. You need to do it yourself.
Yeah. That's true. I haven't tried ChatGPT for LinkedIn. I should probably do a prompt for that for a LinkedIn ad campaign.
I
I'm
tr-
curious.
I try just for fun, for ads, and for content creation. It's actually interesting because it provides you with different ideas. And what I especially liked about it that you can tell it to make the posts in your personal like language, like just use whatever, give it an example of how you write a post, and then it can
Hmm.
create based on your style. And
Right.
let it know to add some jokes, like what kind of language do you want to be, formal, or maybe like not serious at all. So that's interesting that it knows the difference.
Right. That is really cool. So detail oriented. I love it.
Yeah. And it creates like content in a matter of minutes, which is amazing. It saves you time.
Yeah, like you can write blogs. I'm like, I can start blogging.
In
Blogging.
2023, blogging is possible. Which platform do you like better, LinkedIn or Facebook, and where do you see better results?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. Personally, I would say I prefer Facebook ads. However, I prefer it for like direct to consumer, like certain types of businesses. But for B2B, I prefer LinkedIn advertising most of the
Mm.
time. Where do I see better results? Again, that's tough because it depends. um Now I have a history personally of I just Facebook and Instagram is like the more popular platform, so I feel like I've used it a lot more and I've gotten really really great results from it. Like talking, millions of dollars in revenue from advertising. Um versus LinkedIn advertising is more, I've done a lot more lead generation campaigns on there because that's what works best typically. But the
Mm.
results on there have been really good too. It's just, I think, a lot more expensive and you don't have as much room to mess up. So if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have a good idea of like your target audiences, and like you could really do damage in terms of like not getting results and spending a lot of money. So if your audience or if your ideal customers are on both like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, I feel like Facebook and Instagram is a good place to like maybe play and figure out what works. If it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense because you can't target like VPs of this particular industry, right? If that's what you need to do. But you can have more or larger margin of error. So I feel like I took an easy way out of that question. But
No,
yeah,
that's a good definition. That's
okay.
that's good. No, no, that's interesting. I just feel like LinkedIn is super serious platform. There is like
Yeah.
No one is going there to just have fun. They're always looking for some advices, how to profit, how to find partnership. Like, it's super serious. That's why when you advertise, you get results immediately because people are expecting to get some offers.
Yeah.
Then on Facebook, you can do whatever you want. You can post pictures of cats and everyone will laugh and like it. And when you post
Right.
something serious, like update your software, otherwise your computer will get hacked. That's not going to work on Facebook. No.
That's no fun. Like, don't bother me with these
Yeah.
updates. Like, I don't care. But LinkedIn is definitely, it's a professional forum. Although like it has gotten lately like a little bit of shade because people, I don't know if you've seen some of the viral like LinkedIn posts. They go viral on Twitter typically because Twitter is
Mm-hmm.
the shade room. But with people like just posting very elaborate posts, like I remember this one executive was like crying. He took a selfie of him crying and posted it to LinkedIn and said how he feels so bad he has to fire all these people. And it's like, and then he got so much backlash because people were like, dude, like, I don't know why you're up here feeling bad and crying when, like, and playing the victim when, like, these people are losing their livelihoods and their jobs because of you. Because ultimately you're responsible. And I just thought that. So there is, at least there's a little bit of more personality in the sense of like people being funny in the comments and things like that. But I totally get what you're saying about, yeah, it being a lot more uh cut and dry and like we're here for business and professional stuff kind of vibe.
People are very, yeah, they're very careful in the comments. Perhaps maybe in that case they weren't, but it was a strong post, so that's
Yeah,
why
that
the
was
comments
maybe.
were strong as well. But
Yeah.
usually on Facebook, you can like get whatever comments you want. Like, I don't know, maybe emojis with a well, fuck you, and well, different kind of stuff. They're not filtering it out. And
That's
on
so
LinkedIn,
good.
you just get thank you. On
I
LinkedIn, I
know.
usually get a very respectful comment like "Thank you for sharing. This information is very useful." Like, okay. Like, and on Facebook, if I were sharing some stuff with my friends, we're like, "Dude, that's
Yeah.
awesome! Thanks!" Like,
Yeah. Totally different
that's.
reactions and like
Mhm.
it's so true. It's so true. I definitely, even I switch
Yeah.
out. Like I have a LinkedIn personality versus like my regular social media. And more so like I just keep it, I do try to still, and even for clients, right? Like when they're running those ads, like you want to make sure that it's still the brand or the company's like voice, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I remember I was working with this client and I won't say who they are, but they were I guess not like in the hospitality industry and not very conventional. So that was kind of fun to like work with them to see how can we phrase this in a way because it was still B2B that attracts like the right customers for you. But for the most part, yeah, it's more cut and dry, so
Yeah.
mhm.
Some people even afraid of the platform. It's super complicated, and they don't know how to act there, what to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not really popular. People do have profiles there, but we see less engagement because they have no idea how to engage or what to say. So it's
Mhm.
kind of too serious social media platform.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it can really, really be powerful though if you know how to use it well. In any industry, in any kind of job function or role, like if you know what you're doing, um, it could be really powerful. But you know, that's why you need experts like us.
Yeah, and I think you pretty much need to test it out. Like, even if you have no idea, you should try.
Yeah.
Maybe it works, maybe doesn't. But when you sit quietly and just view others or going viral on the platform, it
Sure.
won't actually, yeah.
That's
So
true.
you
You
need to
actually
try
have
out.
to like try it with like posts or whatever you're doing on there. Like you have to be active. Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
actually like test different things out to see like is this helping me or like does it make a difference or it's making no impact. So that's a good point. And then be consistent with that whatever you're trying, right? Like if you're doing ads, you're going to need to do it for at least like a month or something. I at least a month, like because there's so many factors and things that you have to fine tune, and it's like, yeah, you need that time to do that and optimize, right? Or if you're starting to do those LinkedIn articles, which I heard are good. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe I'll have Chat, GPT, GTT, whatever, help me out with some of those. I heard they're really effective for like helping your profile get visibility, right? And so if you have a business, um, people go to your personal profile and then they see your business, like maybe that helps with get you traction on the platform. So that's something
Mm-hmm.
to try. Or posting on a regular basis, right? And also what are you posting? Like I remember doing experiments between video versus like a regular post versus a carousel to see like what actually
Mm-hmm.
has more engagement on the platform. I still haven't figured it out yet because it's like there's no consistency, like my trends are inconsistent. Um and not statistically what do you call it? I don't have enough data points yet, but yeah, you gotta do the work.
I have no idea what's trending. It's really something you can't control. You just need to try it out. Whenever you post video or image, or well, just text, it works fine. It depends what the topic is, when you post it, and when everyone is ready to read it. But what I can see is super trending on the platform is when everyone is sharing their personal like data, like um, well,
Yeah,
I will tell
that's
it
true.
as it is. People are sharing that they're ex alcoholics and like users, like addicts and so on. So it's super weird, but these kind of posts are very popular on LinkedIn. Like people liking
Oh,
it and
wow.
sharing it, and I think it has nothing to do with the platform. It doesn't really. Well, it's not motivating. It's not challenging. It's something that I don't think people should even share. But it's
That's
popular.
interesting. Wow, I haven't seen a post like that. I
You
wouldn't
didn't
share that
see
first. No.
every major, celebrity, let's call them, on LinkedIn
Yeah,
has
the
at some
LinkedIn
point
celebrity.
shared it. They
Wow.
shared it, and it was like about, yeah, I was an addict 10 years ago. I was living on the street, and today I'm running a successful business. Well, that's not something that you created this problem. It's not like it was created for you. It's not like you had cancer, I'm sorry, and you overcame it, or you've been well, physically unable, and now you can run again. You've been using drugs, dude. That's not something you should be proud of. When first, like, time, it's very strange that people are liking
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
I think I think it
Well,
has
they
to do more so with they had a very what do you call it, like an obstacle and hardships, and in that case it was like drugs or alcohol, and they were able to um get through it, right? And they were able to surpass that and like work through their issues. In this case, I mean, some people it's divorce, some people it's that, some people it's a bunch of stuff. And I think I mean, I get it and I don't get it, but I get that why it's popular because it's like, hey, look at me. I had this huge issue and I was able to overcome it. And look at me now. Like, I'm running my business, I'm a six-figure entrepreneur or a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that gives people like hope and inspiration. And in this current economic climate and the world in general over the past 3 4 years, I feel like it's people are gravitating towards that because there's so much negativity around us. And I mean, I choose to, like, I want to stay informed, but at the same time I definitely like uh insulate myself in my own world and bubble because I do believe like it's like be the change that you want to see. And so I
Yeah.
don't want to be all consumed by all this negativity, right? And so yeah, I think that's why the posts that I've seen go viral are like, and maybe it's just my algorithm on my page, but it's like I got a new role at X, Y, and Z as vice president. Or lately it's been more like I got laid
Oh
off
yeah.
from this place and like,
Yeah.
but and then they spin it into something really positive, but it's so cheesy
Mm.
and like cringy to me because I'm like, I'm not like if I get laid off, I'm sorry, I'm not happy about it. Like I get that, God acts in mysterious ways and sometimes you need to be redirected, but excuse me, like I'm not happy about it either way. That's just me. Like the times I've been laid off because it has happened to me. I was not going on LinkedIn and sharing that with
Yeah.
everybody in the world and their mama and their auntie and their this old colleague and no.
Yeah,
Oh
that's true.
man.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
That's interesting.
it's a strange online place, LinkedIn and Facebook.
Yeah. It's the wild wild west for sure, especially now. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Well, I think that's it for today. It was very useful. And thank you for joining me for this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. It's always a blast. So hopefully I can come back soon.